What up, Whiskey Ginger fans? Welcome back to the show. If this is your first time joining the show, welcome to the show. If you're on the YouTubes, subscribe to us, leave a comment down below for the algorithm. Appreciate you watching all these episodes. We're climbing up in them subscribers, about to hit 250,000, and I'm very appreciative of that. It's been a good long road for a couple of years here, and let's keep moving on this great thing. I am on the road. AndrewSantino.com for them tickets. I'm going to be in San Francisco Halloween weekend. And then it's 19 cities that are all listed on the website, including Philly. We added a late show in Portland and Seattle, Chicago, Atlanta, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Grand Rapids, New York, Albany. I'm everywhere, man. Honestly, I'm going all over the country. I can't even remember most of the places that I'm going to. But go to AndrewSantino.com for those tickets. AndrewSantino.com for those tickets. My guest this week is Anthony Jeselnik. My guy, love this dude. He is so funny and got such an interesting process in the comedy world, the comedy business. He is wonderful. Enough rambling from me. Let's go to the episode.
In here, we pour whiskey, 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 whiskey.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Whiskey Ginger. My guest today is one of my favorite people on earth. I say that for all my guests, but I mean it once again today. It's Anthony Jeselnik, the return of Anthony Jeselnik. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back or making me do this.
I made you.
To be more appropriate.
The last time you thought this was going to be, well, this was at my house the first time you did it, and then you thought this was going to be my home. Did you really think that this might be the place that I've fallen to at this point?
No, I just thought maybe I went to the wrong address. Like I think I was doing Rogan's podcast and the Uber dropped me off and I was like, wait, this isn't it. And I had to get another Uber. Like sometimes you go to the wrong place. That I figured that maybe you're in a studio now, which I guess I'll call this. But yeah, I was like, I think I'm here.
You thought I'd be? No, we keep it real ghetto, real low key. For everybody that wants to know, we're in Airplane Hangar 5 at Van Nuys Airport. All you have to do is go by Jet Suite X. We're right next to Jet Suite X.
And I live right next door, so it was a quick Uber ride.
This is easy for you, man.
Yeah.
Wait, you don't drive anymore?
I do only when when I'm doing a podcast. I just want to not stress about it. I read something on my phone. I'm listening to the Dodgers game right now, and
Watching that.
oh, you don't want to be watching it now.
What happened last night? Boston, by the way, beat the shit. They've 11 to.
Boston's hitting a ton, but it was 2-0 when I got in the car, and now it's 5-2.
It's 4-2.
4-2.
Yeah, you know what's so funny is that my interest used to be higher for Dodger games because I'm a Cubs fan, but I live here. Dodgers. I live here. I'll root for them. But for some reason, as of lately, I've been so disenfranchised with baseball in general that I just I watch intermittently. I don't know why. And maybe it's a football season started. And I was like, I don't know. I'm over it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Pirates guy, so it's been tough to root the last couple of years. But I got a Dodgers hat last year because I got the dog during COVID, so I'm walking the dog. I needed to get hats, keep the sun out of my face.
Yeah.
And having a Dodgers hat, people treated me differently, and I felt like Fletch. I felt like I was just
Yeah.
I'm middle aged now. That people were asking me about the game, and I was like, I gotta lose this hat. I went back to the Pirates.
By the way, Fletch, they remade. I heard they remade Fletch.
They finally did it? They've been talking about it forever.
Yeah, and because originally it was Joel McHale, maybe? No.
I thought it was going to be...
Don Draper.
No.
No, yeah, what's his name?
John Hamm.
John Hamm. He was supposed to originally be Fletch. And
I thought it was going to be Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, maybe that's who ended up doing it. He seems like the guy that would do it.
Guy.
Who's your pick for Fletch to redo it? And by the way, people that haven't seen, if you've never seen Fletch before, one of the best movies. I mean, I thought it was so good. It's just we don't really try those kind of comedies anymore.
I loved Fletch so much that I loved Fletch Lives as a kid. I saw Fletch when as a kid on TV, but I saw Fletch Lives in the theater and thought it was just as good because I was a kid.
But you were wrong.
Better. Oh, totally wrong.
Yeah, wrong.
You can't rewatch it.
But it was just, but it was one of those things where, we talked about this last night because I was talking about how we go to see movies now, maybe one trailer will be somewhat of a comedy. Even if you go see a comedy.
Yeah.
The rest of they're not, the rest of them are romantic comedy stories or, I don't know. I just think it's just that they don't take shots at these great, unique comedy stories anymore. I don't know what the fear is. My favorite movie's Big. One of them is Big. You could never remake Big today.
No.
You just couldn't. And if you did, it would be too, I don't know, they would make it so littered with so many stars. It would like lose all of the fun that was back then. It was like Tom Hanks was the star. Like Chevy was the star. And then you had ancillary good actors. But you didn't have like 5 huge names to carry a movie where you're like, oh, that's that guy. Oh, that's that guy. Instead, it was like great actors around 1 or 2 really talented big names. Now I feel like every movie is like featuring 19 of the most famous people you've ever heard of. And you're like, well, that's not, I'm not, there's not enough actors, I think, that are good enough to make me forget who they are and see them as the character. I think that's rare. You know what I mean?
I also think that like back in the day, like the movie Airplane.
Yeah.
Like the head of the studio was like, this is a piece of shit. And then he was screening it and his kids are dying laughing. And he was like, oh, let's put it out there.
Right.
And that doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
It's not your kid. It's not like, oh, my kid likes this, I'm going to do it. It's, we've got to test it. And not everyone, with comedy, you're not going to get everybody.
Yeah.
You know, there's not going to be another like Something About Mary. It takes a lot for everyone to get on board with the comedy that they're just not going that route.
Why? What changed? Because stand-up certainly hasn't taken the downfall. I mean, stand-up's gotten strong. I'd say more stand-ups are selling more tickets now than ever before.
But that's because it's so easy. You don't need to get like a crew. You just like, it's just one person and like their little team going on the road. That's easy and it's so compartmentalized. But to get a big, everyone's taking big swings at the movies. And these independent movies don't want to fuck with comedy. They wanted to be some deep, you know, my dad killed himself bullshit that that you don't get to see a lot of indie comedies. And they just don't want to take the risk, I guess.
I think it's also because, well, I mean, you know, this is conspiratorial, but I think that comedy doesn't translate overseas either. That's another thing. So, like, they're thinking about China. They know China's not going to buy, unless it's Kevin Hart, who's a recognizable face, or The Rock, or like someone that they've coined with comedy. It's not going to sell.
It's got to be an action comedy.
Totally. Yeah, someone has to die, blow up, guns, car flip. Yeah. That's why the Fast and Furious movies, to their credit, they've become so self-aware and they shit on themselves now. And that's the comedy in it, is they dumpster dive all over those movies.
Dude, if Tyrese is the comic relief in your movie, it's not a comedy.
No,
like, I just like,
but that has to be registered as such because now that's the only kind of comedy that's out there. I mean, what, The Martian won comedy? Didn't that win like Best Picture for comedy? The Martian, wasn't it?
The Martian, was that like a Golden Globe for comedy?
I seriously think it got comedy. I think it won for comedy.
I mean, there's not a joke in the whole movie. It's like Matt Damon smiles a little bit when he should be like pissing himself. But
and they're like, this is funny.
Yeah, I remember that was the controversy. Like, why are they calling this a comedy? But the Golden Globes are a sham.
It's not real.
They're still jerking off over Emily in Paris. Like, they don't know what the hell they're doing.
But would you host it if they asked you?
Golden Globes, probably. They would never, but probably I would take a shot. But I think that just got old, like the roasting thing.
Yeah, what
like
Gervais
Ricky
did.
Gervais's like 4th time, it was like, oh, this is over. I like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler kind of doing it, but then they got soft, where it was like roasting got so big that they kind of went anti-roast.
Yeah,
it was almost like compliments. Let's do this in a good-natured way that nobody wants to watch.
You know why? Because those people at the end of the day know they might work with one of those guys, and they always think, I don't want to have that conversation of going, hey, you know this is all in good fun and da-da-da, because they're going to take it serious.
Oh, totally.
It's kind of like what happened with Sandberg and Mark Wahlberg. Remember when Andy did that thing, How's Your Mother, or whatever, on SNL, and he was actually like upset about it?
Yeah.
It's that kind of vibe where it's like, people don't want to have that conversation anymore, being like, you know this is a joke.
Yeah.
None of this shit is real.
It's an honor to have someone do an impression of you on SNL.
100%.
Like someone sent me a clip that you're in on Dave.
Yeah.
Where they say we
talk about you.
Yeah, they go like, you're the #1 comedy album. Like, fuck you, Anthony Jeselnik. And people were like, are you mad? And I was like, I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
I've been sending this to people. Like,
yes.
It's an honor to be mentioned in pop culture.
Yeah.
Even if it's like, and I thought it was a compliment on the show.
It is a compliment.
Even saying fuck you, Anthony Jeselnik, like that's great. Like I love it.
That's also because all of the writers, for the most part, of 2 in particular, are like really big stand-up fans. And that's just like a way for them to like wink or nod at something.
Yeah.
The idea that was offensive is funny. I can't believe we never talked about that. I forgot about that fucking line.
I assumed because
who says that line?
The agent or whatever, because it cuts to you. You're not talking, but it cuts to you. That I was like, I assumed, and we haven't talked about this, but I assumed that they must have run through like different names.
Yeah.
Because I thought you would have told me like, hey, we got a shout out. We did a shout out to
100%.
you on this thing.
Yeah, I would have texted you.
Like,
we did. I think the original. You know who the original name was. I do actually remember that now, because it was at the record label. Guess who the original name was?
First thought, Bo Burnham.
No.
Second thought, Jim Gaffigan.
I think it was Regan
Okay.
Gaffigan. Then the writer made him say Dane Cook because that's just somebody always wants to throw that in there.
Was it like? Did it take place 10 years ago?
I think that was this underhanded. And then I think that's how your name. They were like, well, let's do other stand-ups, and then they rifled off a bunch of names. But I think Regan was first for some reason, and then you, and then I don't even know. I think the last one was definitely like a Garfunkel and Oates or something like. You know what I mean? Like there was just like one from the side, and that's the one that they always are like. I don't think enough people know who that is.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking a shot. I'm just saying that's one of those jokes where inside baseball people are like, nah. Outside people are like, what is that? What is that? Is that?
I opened for Garfunkel and Oates as part of their special taping in Seattle, and I'm friends with them, and they were like, it'll be funny. Like I'll do a bit where I'm like just the worst opener ever for them. Like I'm trashing them.
Yeah.
I'm getting booed.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because it was taped at the Neptune, and I performed there a bunch of times, so the staff knew me,
Right.
but no one in the audience knew who I was as a comic.
None of their fans are
they
recognize you.
No, because they're not comedy fans. They're Garfunkel and Oates fans.
Right.
And didn't know anything about stand-up. And the staff would be like, I can't fucking believe these people don't know who you are. Like, I had no idea.
But you ripped anyway.
I mean, I ripped in a way that it was like, they introduced me as like, he's going to come make fun of us. And he's going to want you to boo him. But I wasn't doing my act. I was just being like, just the worst opener you could ever have as part of my thing.
Yeah.
But then I was doing like a Q&A or doing a man on the street thing. Talking to fans afterwards, and they had no idea who I was. Just a guy with a mic.
How long
They did
ago
not
was
know.
this?
4 or 5 years ago now. I mean, time means nothing anymore.
Isn't that weird? That is funny though to think about. Because 4 or 5 years ago, I think for sure they would know who you were, regardless.
No, I mean they didn't know any. There's no stand-up who could have come on stage that they would have known who they were.
Kate
McCucci and Ricky Lindholm.
So this is kind of this is so random. We don't really know each other. I think we've met, through the grapevine, but we don't know each other. And I got an email, I got a DM, maybe it was a DM, and it was like from Kate. And she goes, "This is super weird, but I have your mail." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "I think I live in your old apartment that you moved out of because I have like a check of like a cast and crew check that got slid under the door." And I was like, "No, seriously?" She's like, "Yeah, me and my family moved into your old apartment." And I was like, "Oh, well, I can stop by sometime. I'm in Hollywood tomorrow night doing the store." And this is funny. I thought, oh, we don't know each other. So I was like, it's going to be, like, hey, what's up? And then we have to kind of talk because we do know we're comedy the connection.
Mm-hmm.
But she took the pressure off because she was like, "I'm actually not going to be home. I'll leave it at the front desk." I was like, great.
Perfect. I would have been like, tear it up. I don't need the money that bad to go through this.
But you know what I mean when you're like, we have that thing in common. So I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to be nice and have a little chit chat because otherwise it's weird to be like, thanks, and then not just leave. But she took care of it because the awkwardness. That happens all the time when I run into somebody that I don't really know that's a comic and we're on the road in an airport and you obligatory, you have to chat. But you're like, we've never met. We don't even know each other. We don't know anything about each other, really.
I've had that where a comic will come up to me and someone I know, like, what was his name? Big, heavy black guy. Really funny.
Lavelle Crawford came up to me at the baggage claim. And he's like, Anthony Jeselnik. And I'm like, Lavelle Crawford. And we're both smiling. We both like each other's stuff. Yeah.
But we're at baggage claim and it's like, that's all we had. So we're just kind of standing. It's like, so where were you? Where were you this weekend? Oh yeah, I was here. And then it's just like, let me get the fuck out of here as fast as possible.
Yeah.
No shade. Not talking any trash, but
no, but there's nothing. You don't really. It's hard. It's also hard when comedians are in transit, like seeing people on the road or on the go. You're like, this is already the most annoying part about stand up.
The worst is when like you're in first class and someone's going, like you're going to do a theater and they're going to do a club and they walk past you and say hello.
I hate that.
It's tough.
Well, it's also one time I was going to JFL. I don't know if it was Vancouver or maybe it was the Vancouver time. Oh, no, it was going to Montreal. And I was going to Montreal and I was going late and because it was like the end of the Montreal just to do like TV stuff for that I'm Dying Up Here show, like the first season. And I'm sitting in like the third seat in first class and Jim Carrey and all these other people, and I see agents that I know that not are my agents, but guys that I know. and they're walking by and they're like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, hey. And they're walking by, and it feels so good because the tables had turned back in the day when you were waiting at the gate with some young agent who you're like, you're fucking, you get this seat?
Yeah.
You get up here? I have to sit in I'm the one that's going to work. You get to go fucking black out for 3 days on a company tab. I always that bothered me so much, man.
My favorite one of those, I just done, it was like 2013. I just finished the first season of the Jeselnik Offensive.
Yeah.
So like, I'd never been more like famous in a way that like I'm on billboards, I'm on subway posters. Like,
Everybody knows you.
I'm over there. And it's exhausting at the same time. Like I just finished my 10th episode. I go to the wrap party. And the next morning, I literally get on a plane to start my tour. And the tour starts at Moon Tower in Austin.
Yeah.
So I get like 2 hours of sleep. I'm on a 6 a.m. flight, and it's like Mark Maron, Dom Herrera, like a bunch of like comics, and like half of us in first class, half of us aren't. But it's a lot of people that I know, and we're all kind of saying hi. But it's 6 a.m. and I put in earplugs. I go to sleep because I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And they're talking to each other, laughing around, and I'm not engaging. And then we get off the plane, and I get a text being like, "Your car is waiting out front." And I go, and I'm not thinking anything of it. I just kind of like walk past everybody. I'm like, I guess I'll see them. I'll see everyone at the car. And then I get there and I realize I have my own car. Because this is part of my tour, I've booked car services for myself. And I get to the hotel that everyone's staying at. I'm only there for one night. And as I'm smoking a cigarette, this was like, I was going through shit. I'm smoking a cigarette at like 10 a.m. And I see this giant white van pull up. And like 8 comics who are all like 10 years like more into it than I am get out of the van. And I'm like, no one has ever had more shit talked on them than I did in that van ride.
Oh,
over.
yeah.
They were all
Big
like,
time.
this guy thinks he's bigger than us. This guy gets his own car. Why does he get his own car? And I'm like, I paid for it. I would have happily ridden in the van with you guys. I didn't know.
But that's not true. You didn't want to ride in the van.
I didn't want to.
Jeselnik doesn't
being
ride in the
car.
van. Yeah.
I will. I'll be nice. I'll lower myself for half an hour.
When you do the road, do you do the bus thing, or do you just fly?
I fly, and I even got to the point where I would charter a private jet. If I'm doing 4 cities in a weekend, it's 4 flights, and there's like one day where I've got to get in that day of the show, and it's like you're going from like somewhere in Nebraska to somewhere in like Montana, and you've got to go.
Yeah.
Like it's like an all day flying thing. You got connecting flights. I just say fuck it and get the private jet. And
So it's all you by yourself, or are you with the tour manager or somebody?
I bring my my opener with me, but I don't.
Do I know who your feature is?
I switch it up, and I'm sure you know Megan Gailey.
Of course, I love Megan.
Jacqueline Novak, Mo Welch. Those are the 3 I had on my last tour, and it's like I got a West Coast girl, I got an East Coast girl, and I got someone who can fill in when they can't do it.
Yeah.
I
prefer straight white males only. I only take straight white males.
I didn't want people who wanted to party. I wanted someone who just like wanted to go back to the hotel
and hang out,
smoke a little pot, and just like they've got to go call their boyfriend or their husband, and I go to bed.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about when I tour now, it's the long game. Like people, all friends from high school who are like living in Atlanta, and they're like, let's go out. And I'm like, I can't. This is like week 8 I got like 8 more of these to go.
Yeah.
I need to go home and like watch a movie and pass out.
Yeah, that's good. Mine has become a really close friend of mine. So that's also really hard because we do want to just go have fun all the time. But like we just did Boston, and it was like my family was there because my family came from Chicago, and they were like, we're coming to Boston. That's so close. It's easy. And then it ended up like my aunt came, my uncle came. It was my birthday. That's also why. But it was like my cousins came. Then so it was just like I wanted to go out one night on my birthday. But my dad was like, come on, let's go party. And I was like, I know, but I got to go back and shoot. And then I'm leaving again. And they were all like, nah, don't be a bitch. It is a hard when everybody's like, we got to go out. Let's go out and have a good time. And it is fun because you're like, let's go get fat on really good food and drink as much wine as we can drink.
Yeah.
And talk shit all night. It is really hard. And me and the guy I go with, Chris O'Connor, who's great. You'd love this dude. He's really good. He lives with Gillis. He lives with Shane in New York. And they kind of started doing Philly together. And he says he's got Chris 2.0 on the way. He says he's working out now when we go on the road. I was like, oh, wow. Has he done it?
No.
Not even close.
Maybe the first week.
Yeah. No, not even. Didn't he? Bailed.
Really?
Bailed right away. I was like, I thought you were gonna. He's like, I know, I can't. I just can't.
When I go back to Pittsburgh, I do a thing where I play this theater, and then I just I ask them if I can just let my family and friends hang out in the lobby afterwards. Mm-hmm. And I get champagne because I want to be like, this is a baller moment, and then just hang out there, and then go to my hotel at midnight and go to bed.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's like,
smart.
well, I'll do something. Like I was performing in Baltimore at a theater. My parents were my family was on vacation in Ocean City, Maryland. And then I would have gone with them on vacation, but I'm like, I'm on tour. And like, we want to go to the Baltimore show. And I'm like, all right, I get them all tickets, but then they have to drive these like hours. And I'm like, I don't want you guys driving. So I'm like, I'll get you a bus. So I get them like a party bus and I have it stocked because you've got to ball out for your own family.
100%.
And I ended up, I think I lost money on the deal. You know what I mean? And that like I'm doing a sold out theater, but to have this bus drive hours to get them, hours to take them there, hours back.
What does that
all
cost
this
to rent a bus like that?
You've got to pay for them to go like to the. It's not like an Uber where they start when they pick you up.
Right.
You know, so it's like 2 hours they go from Baltimore to Ocean City, then back and forth, and then loading up the bus with stuff. I got a bunch of crabs for backstage, and like I think they're like looking at their watch, like we got to clean this shit up when you leave, so get out of here.
Wrap it up.
Yeah. Cost some money.
Well, I need to go back real fast because I'm very curious. The private jet thing is heavy. That doesn't hit you with a big enough tab where it hurts a little bit? Or you're doing so well it doesn't even matter?
I don't do it enough that, and it'll be like, I've never ridden a private jet that I've been paying for more than an hour. So it is really like, it's expensive, but it's worth it. Have you ever like, when you're flying coach all the time, and you like, you get to the counter and they're like, for $100 more, you can go to first class. Yeah. And you're like, no, fuck it. And then you spend the entire time in coach being like, I would give $100 right now to move up.
Should have done it. Yeah.
But now I'm like, if I was going to be flying all day, you might lose your luggage. It is, and it isn't a baller move. It's not like it's just like I can either spend 8 hours doing this, or I can spend 3 hours doing this, and I'm going to pay for that because it just makes everything so much more relaxing.
Well, it's not a baller move because you don't post that kind of stuff. Like you're not that kind of guy that no one would know that unless you told me that.
My opener had a picture taken, Mo Welch, and tweeted it. And I retweeted it being like, I think this is undignified, but retweeting it is the height of class. And my friends gave me so much shit, and I was like, I stand by it.
Yeah.
Like, I stand by this.
The retweet is cooler than the original tweet.
In here, we pour whiskey.
I don't know about you, but bedtime is my favorite time. I love being into bed. Some days I don't even want to get out of bed. And I got to tell you something. This company that sent me the most luxurious, soft, smooth, sexy sheets that I've laid on in honestly years. I'm not even joking about this. Boll and Branch. Boll and Branch. I'm sure you've heard of them before in the past. There's something about the small details of very nice things that really add up over time. You know, it's like when you see someone that can keep their sneakers clean, you're always like, look at that. It's sharp. It's something small and sharp, and the little things add up. For the legacy you leave behind at Boll and Branch was started by a husband and wife team that wanted to create a textile company that cared about the details that would make their products last. And I got to tell you something. They send me a lot of this stuff for the product that we do on the show. They sent me these things, and I said to the old bag, let's put them on the bed and let's see how it feels. My God, does it feel good. If you want uncompromising standards in so many other parts of your life, why not make it in the place that you sleep and spend a lot of time in your bed? All right? Honestly, it was very surprising how soft and smooth, and also the weight. It just looked really sexy and high-end, and quite honestly, at an affordable price. You should experience uncompromising comfort with the best-selling 100% organic cotton signature hemmed sheets. The Cloud Weight Super Soft Sateen weave gets softer with every single wash. And we pulled it out of the box, and it was comfy, man. And I also love the breathability. I don't like stuff that makes me feel too warm. I'm not into that. I'm not a fan. And this stuff stayed nice and cool. They're designed and manufactured for maximum comfort and durability, and they don't cut any corners. This couple, the Scott and Missy Tannen, the co-founder of that Boll and Branch, let me tell you something. They did it absolutely right. Their manufacturing partners are family-owned businesses, which we love here at the Whiskey Ginger, so you should support them. If you want some new sheets on the bed, you want to look and feel like a king and a queen, or whatever you want to be, you got to do yourself a favor and experience an entirely new standard of comfort. Visit bollandbranch.com. That's Boll, B-O-L-L, and branch.com. Get 15% off your first set of sheets with promo code WHISKEY. That's Boll and Branch, B-O-L-L, and branch.com. Promo code WHISKEY. Hey, I've talked about it before on this show, but if you're looking to showcase your work, if you're looking to blog or publish content, put up art, or tell people about your tour dates, like me, you got to use Squarespace to create your site. I use Squarespace, and I told you this before many, many times. I'm a stupid guy. I'm not smart, and if I can do it, you can do it. I'm tech savvy only to a very small degree, and they make it very simple. You can do almost anything with Squarespace as far as creating your own site. They've got email campaigns to grow and engage your audience with Squarespace email campaigns, and you can also create content that matches your website's pre-existing products, which I think is really cool. And they do something very amazing. They have these templates that are pre-built for you. You don't have to use them. If you're stubborn and you're a tech genius, go ahead. But otherwise, they really do have everything optimized for mobile right out of the box, and it's a new way to buy domains to choose from over 200 extensions, and there's analytics on there that help you grow in real time. 24/7 award-winning customer support, which we love, and also nothing to patch or upgrade ever. Built-in search engine optimization. So whether you're an artist, an architect, a writer, a nutritionist, a wellness coach, a personal trainer, a gamer, real estate broker, whatever kind of site that you're looking to create, artistic or not, plain or sparkly, they've got it all there for you. Use their templates or do it yourself. Either way, it's incredible. Go over to squarespace.com/whiskey for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code whiskey to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Squarespace.com/whiskey. Squarespace.com/whiskey.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Did you ever do Oddball when they were doing that?
In San Francisco?
No, Oddball was like the tour where they did like arenas.
Oh, no.
They did
I
like
didn't do that.
4 years of that. I did like
No.
the third year, and it was a lot of people, and like the same people, and a lot of pictures on private jets. And I never posted any of those, but I knew every other comic was talking wild shit because we weren't paying for the jet. We didn't care.
Well, yeah.
And they would have it like loaded up with booze.
See, that
and
makes
just a lot
sense.
of
If
pictures.
it's on the shoulders of some other company, I don't mind people taking pictures. Then you're like, but it's hard sometimes. Like I was joking around with Schultz because Schultz is balling out. That's all he does on the road is ball out. But I'm like, he only does that because his fans love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of times comics, depending on your fans, they would fucking hate to see you on that shit.
There's a lot of comics who like the meet and greet is almost more important than the show. You know, it's like, and it's not a knock. It's just like I don't do that. Like I almost not. I don't look down on my fans, but I don't want to meet them.
You look down on them.
I always say like I don't care what they think. That I'm like, if you need to meet me,
Yeah.
you can hang outside the backstage area for an hour or two, and maybe you get to take a picture, and I'll sign whatever you want if you do that. But I'm not going to stand there and shake everyone's hand and sign shit.
Yeah.
I
Well,
hate
it's tough, especially the seats that you do. How could you get through that many fucking people? At some point, that becomes like the last time I did Philly, and I do like meeting my fans because, it's I don't. There's something about it that's like I like it, but I can't do it now. But the last time I did it was in Philly. I did like 6 shows at Helium Punchline at Helium. And it was like, I was exhausted. I mean, you're doing another show after the show. I think fans don't realize that. They're like, oh, you don't want to. It's like, dude, that's another show. And I also have to do another show. So I'm doing 3 or 4 shows a night instead of just 2 because you have to be on and alive and awake and aware. And, otherwise it's a waste of their time just be like, hi, next.
And you're sweaty. And it went from being like, let's take a picture to I'm going to take as many pictures as I can before you tell me to stop.
Yeah, that's also very true.
And like my hand would hurt after shaking all those hands. Like once I sold out of the CDs that I had, like Comedy Central made you buy the CDs yourself.
Ugh, I
and
know.
then sell
I
them.
remember. Yeah.
But once I sold out of those, I was like, I'm not doing this ever again. But I do appreciate my fans. I just don't want to stand there in line like a commodity and have people who wouldn't have stopped me on the street, but they'll stand there in line and wait, and they're 9 times out of 10 they're drunk. And I don't want to deal with
They're
drunk.
always drunk.
Sober fans, I'll do whatever you want. But when they're drunk, it's like, I can't get out of here fast enough.
There was a dude in Boston. This is my biggest pet peeve. I don't mind when someone's like, what up? I'm like, what up? Whatever. I fucking hate it when somebody goes, hey, you're an actor? And I just keep walking. I go, hey, man, hello, just hello, that's it. And he goes, where do I know you from? What are you in? What are you in? Mm-hmm. And the only thing that could come out of my mouth, and I go, oh, dude, you don't get to do that to me. That's not fair. And I just kept walking. I go, come on, man. It's such a weird thing to be like, tell me why I know you. It's like, dude, fuck you. I'm not, it's such a rude thing to say.
I had for a couple years, and I didn't mind this because it was just like, it made it easy, where they'd go, are you Daniel Tosh? And I would go, no. They go, who are you? And they knew full well I wasn't Daniel Tosh,
Right.
but that was like their way in. I have a director friend who's like, here's what I do. Because when someone's like, have you done anything that I've seen? They go, I don't know, what have you seen? Like they put it back on them.
Ah.
And I was like, oh, that's great. And the first time someone did that to me, I was like, I don't know, what have you seen? They go, no. What have you been in? And I was like, all right, you're not going to play. This is worthless.
I should have said to that guy, what do you like to watch? Well, the same thing is like, I got invited to one of these, like, I love golf. That's like my favorite thing on earth. and like I got invited to like a faux celebrity golf tournament for like lowest level celebrities you can find, and I didn't go this time because I did it one time, and it was embarrassing because somebody's always, there's always drunk dudes in the group. They're like, "What do I even know you from? What do you even do?" And then you'll be like, "Oh, listen, I'm standing kind of like whatever," and they're like, "I don't know you, man. I don't know. And then you're like, "All right, well, I have to play fucking golf with you all day now."
Yeah.
So this was fucking fun. Now I have 4 hours of a guy being like, "You're not that line. You're not that funny for a comedian." It's like, fucking.
I hate that.
Jump off a fucking bridge.
I was hosting a thing for NBC, Last Comic Standing, and they made us do the whole press day where it's like all the press comes. It's like a big thing. It's catered, and we have to do it while we're shooting the show. So it's like I had to shoot the show, go to this hotel, wake up the next morning, get in a suit and tie and makeup, and then do a day of press. And then I had to leave and goes back to the studio to shoot that night's show. So I'm exhausted. I'm pissed. And I walk out, and there's just a bunch of guys just behind a rope asking for autographs. And I'm like, I just go, no, sorry. Like, you don't even want my autograph. You just want every autograph you can get. And the guy's like, Jeselnik, come on. And I'm like, sorry, man, I got to go back to work. And he goes, oh, Jesus. And I'm like, you're going to talk shit to me for the rest of your life.
100%. Yeah.
Have you ever had someone ask you to sign a blank photo paper?
Mm-hmm.
I did it once. I was out I did a show in Anaheim. I come out, and there's one guy with his kid. And so I walk over, and he's like, he's got these blank things. I'm like, what is this? And he's like, oh, if you don't sign them, I don't waste it. But if you sign it, I can print it out. And that's like what I do. And I'm like, did you even see the show? And he's like, no. But he's with his kid. So I'm like, all right, I sign a couple. And then I get in the car, and the driver goes, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, I know it was annoying, but why? And he's like, because you don't know what they're going to print on that. It could be like an Anthony Jeselnik signed copy of Tower 2 coming down. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what they're going to do. That now I say no to that immediately.
Anthony Jeselnik. I do not believe in the Holocaust. Just you already had signed it. You're like, they signed off on it, man.
The autograph people who don't care, like if it's like a true fan, like do you ever like land at an airport and someone's waiting for you? It's like it's like three dudes.
Which is very weird.
They're a little awkward, and and you see it on eBay, and nobody wants to buy an autograph picture of me. It's just like a quick little scribble.
What would that even go for? What would you think somebody would even pay for? Like $100?
No, maybe like $10 is a joke. I've never seen one on eBay for more than like $15, and I've never seen one sold.
They're just selling it to each other. The other guys that get autographs just keep selling it, circulating it, trying to drive up the market. That's like the new NFT. Do you believe in any of that shit?
No.
It's so real. One of the guys that I know, I don't have any involvement in it because I'm not smart, but one of the guys that I know that helps to do art for my tour, like the art for the tour, he did art for Whiskey Ginger. He's made us so much fucking money off that stuff. And I was like, I just guess I don't get it. Like, I don't
understand, and I don't care about money enough to even want to understand.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
I have a business manager, and if he was like, we're going to put some of your money in NFTs or this, I'd be like, do your thing. But otherwise, let's be conservative. I'm not going to chase trends. And also, I always feel like I'm late into the game.
Always.
That you could, if you had bought Bitcoin back in the day, maybe you're doing well. But I don't really know. I truly believe it's all going to go back to zero.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to lose everything.
Yeah, of course. I believe that too. I also think it's funding fucking, something shady and illegal. Like, there's no way that's not like a child trafficking source. Like, there's no way that's not some insane illegal black market fuel funnel for money. I just don't buy that either. Like, I just don't think that can't be backed by anything. So it's going to collapse. And for sure, the government's so shady. If they can't get in on it, they're going to kill it anyway.
And it takes all your attention. It's like my little brother bought stock in GameStop when that was going on. And he was like, I bought some, and I'm going to like hold on for this. And he said like for a week, he was just on his phone constantly watching it go up $1, down $1.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm not that into anything that I want to spend I don't want to spend my time looking at these things.
To me, that's like rich people's online Squid Game, where I think just like really wealthy people just like fuck with middle to lower middle class people being like, oh, buy this, to the moon, Doge to the moon, all that shit. And it does inflate it. And then all those rich fucks, they all sell it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, hold out, dude, hold for the long run. And everybody loses all that money. I'm sure people did make a couple of bucks on it. I'm sure there's people that did have a come up. But.
Yeah. And I don't knock it if that's your thing. But like, I get an email once a month telling me how much money I have, and if I want more detail, I'll get it. But I was like, listen, I own stocks. Like, I have this like fund I put money in once a year, but the same thing everyone does. And I'm like, what do I own? And they printed out this huge thing, and I looked through and I was like, Apple, okay. all right, and then just like gave it. Like I'm not interested. It's like if it goes down, it goes down. If it goes up, it goes up. I'm not going to follow it.
Was there a moment in your life where you were like, oh, money's not a concern anymore? Like that, where could you retire tomorrow?
I mean, I'd have to live, a little more humbly, I guess, than I do, a little more frugally than I do. But like once I had no money for so long, like no money.
Same.
That once I had any money, it felt like I had all the money. Do you know what I mean? That it was like, okay, now, once I was like able to fly first class, I thought like this is as good as it gets. And I didn't worry about it anymore. It's just throw it on the pile. And I don't live in like a big, I don't live in a mansion.
Right.
I live within my means, but I just I have enough money that I feel rich. And then like people are always chasing, that even if you might have $10 million, but you want 20.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be like that. And once I got to a certain point, I was just like, okay, I can say this. And now I don't care. And I still want to make money. I still want to work, but it's not as important to me. But once I was able to, when I couldn't get lunch with my friends, and all of a sudden I could get lunch with my friends, I felt rich.
That's huge.
Yeah. I'll never forget making $700 a week before taxes as an accounting clerk in LA on TV shows and thinking that was all the money in the world. Or like when you start headlining clubs and you get you're getting $1,500, you're just like, I made it.
Yeah, I'm
and
rich.
you don't understand what door deals are yet. You know what I mean? It's like, and you don't understand theaters are a thing. And then it's like arenas and co-headlining where it's like it's just these giant venues that I've thought I've made it so many different times that it doesn't even excite me anymore. I'm just like, okay, like.
So what's the goal then for stand-up for you? Just to keep working, just to keep getting becoming a better stand-up?
No, I mean, I honestly, I think I get better every time I'm on stage incrementally just by doing it. The goal is just not to stop and to churn out as many jokes as I can in my lifetime before I'm like sick of this and I want to quit, because I still love doing it. But it's like I'm working on my 5th hour now of comedy, and it's jokes. It's like if I come up with a great idea, it's 60 seconds. Like I'll talk to Tom Segura about this, and he's like, I go to the dentist and that's 20 minutes. You know
30.
what I mean? Yeah. And he's like, for you, that might be a 30-second joke. And it's a great joke, but that's what I'm interested in, getting as many of those out of myself as I can.
Yeah.
So, and I'm aiming for brilliance. I'm aiming for greatness. And I think in those 4 hours I've done, I think I have a handful of truly brilliant jokes, but just a handful. But I'm trying to do as many of those as I can and enjoy myself and try to evolve.
What do you think? The other stuff that's in there that's not those truly brilliant jokes is just great jokes to support the other things?
I think it's like you've got to fill the hour. And it's like you can't just have nothing but great jokes, because people would kind of get bored of it. I feel like I'm a pitcher. You can't just throw fastballs. That you got to have some change-ups, you got to have some curves in there. So, but I think some of them are like, no one would ever see this coming. There's some that like comics are like, I can kind of see where you're going with this.
Sure.
But the audience has to laugh. And if they see it coming, so I'll get the laugh sometimes. Like I'll have 2 or 3 jokes a special where the audience laughs a little harder, not because it's such a brilliant joke, but because they kind of guessed it first.
Yeah.
And they're happy that they got it. But that's almost setting up the next one where they think they know, and I really get them. It's like a crossover dribble.
Yeah. Are you doing this hour right now? Do you have it set up somewhere, or are you going to go your own way?
What do you mean?
Like a lot of people now are turning to the alternative, where like Louis has people buy it on his own site. People aren't going with Netflix anymore. Some people are going independently distributing, or
I don't want to do the work. I want it to be seen by as many people as possible. But like I loved Comedy Central was just like, here's how much you're getting paid. We'll take care of the rest of it. Whereas Netflix is like, here's what the budget is. You'll get this, and the rest is going toward that. I'm like, okay. But Netflix has kind of annoyed me with the lack of audio. The album was important to me. That now they're not doing albums anymore.
Oh, they don't.
They'll do a vinyl for you, so you can be like, you can get nominated for a Grammy or whatever the fuck. But you can't stream it, and you can't like buy the physical media unless it's vinyl. Yeah.
So you have to do a separate record deal with another record company.
They won't even do that anymore. Like I had a 3-album deal with Comedy Central, and so I did 2 albums with them, and then my last one, Netflix had to do it, give me an album, and then the last one I had to really fight for to get it. And they're like, we'll do this, but you can't stream it. You can only buy it digitally. I have a record deal with like 800-Pound Gorilla that puts out the vinyl.
Right.
And then, but you can't hear it streaming normally. Then I'm like, I kind of like that aspect of it, even though it doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
Like it was important for me to get my first album in stores, which is why I signed a 3-album deal with Comedy Central. And then it was right at the moment where they just stopped doing that.
Yeah.
But like to get a copy of Shakespeare, you had to like get it from me in person. You couldn't go to Best Buy and pick it up anymore. But as a kid, I loved getting Stephen Wright's album. Yeah. I remember going to get Demetri Martin's first album. at Best Buy the day it came out. Like that was just cool to me. I
Yeah.
still go to Amoeba and go to the comedy section and look through.
Are they
and
there?
see-
There's still albums there?
I haven't been to the new Amoeba yet, but the old one had a comedy section. And I would go even like, I didn't have a Jeselnik label, but I had the J miscellaneous. And I would go through, and if it was there, I was like, fuck yeah.
That's
and if
cool.
it wasn't, I was like, someone bought it. Cool. Like I was happy no matter what.
Yeah, that's a positive outlook on it.
Yeah.
Who was there? What albums were there that you were like, this guy's got an album here?
The people that I'd never heard of, that
Yeah.
there would be like 10 of them in there. That you're like, no one's buying this. It's like, this is bad.
Yeah.
But I loved like old Rodney Dangerfield albums. You know, I don't think I ever really bought physical copies, but
Did you
I
used to be
loved
able to go
those.
to Amoeba and listen to records? Could you sit? Was there a record listening room there?
I don't know if it was a room. I'm sure you could. I never.
Because
did
I
that.
feel like I remember when I first moved to LA, there was like a little shitty, I shouldn't say shitty, but it's like there was a little like fucking divey record store in Culver City. And you could listen to records.
I've been to places like that.
And I
Or
was like, that's got to be a dead thing these days.
there was a Virgin record store on like on Crescent Heights and Sunset that I
Oh,
used
yeah.
to love because they would stay open Monday nights until 12:30. So when albums came out on Tuesday at that time, if you really wanted it, like I went and bought White Stripes Elephant at midnight because I was so pumped to hear it,
Wow.
and then drove around all night listening to it. But they had a thing where you would scan it, like there were headphones, and you would scan the barcode, and then you could listen to the whole album if you wanted to. That I never really did that, but I liked that you could.
Was that something that so because we talked before, like you used to love going down to watch movies at ArcLight.
Mhm.
Like, have you always been like a cinephile? Like were you a kid who was obsessed with film when you were young, or no?
I wouldn't say obsessed with film. Like I wasn't like going back and watching Criterion shit, but I loved going to the movies. And there's a point when you're a kid where every movie you see is great,
Yeah.
and then you realize. Like I remember my dad taking me to go see Superman 4, and like loving it, and my dad just not talking on the way home. And then I read an article a couple years ago about how it's like the worst movie ever made.
Yeah, it's
they used
bad.
the same shot over and over again of him flying because they had no budget. And I like called my dad and apologized. He's like, I don't remember the movie, but thank you for the phone
That's
call.
what it's like to be a dad, though. You just
Yeah.
have to do that. Like I remember made my dad ride some ride. We went to like Six Flags, or yeah, it was Six Flags or something, and I made him ride the same ride over and over and over again. And I remember him saying to my mom, "I'm just fucking exhausted. Like I'm gonna go to the hotel. I'm exhausted." And I was like, "How can you be tired? Like
Yeah.
we have so much day left." But then you realize you get older. You're like, "Oh, he just was doing that to be a good dad.
Mhm.
He fucking hated every second of it."
Oh yeah, maybe the first time he was like, "Okay, I'm bonding with my son," and then he was like, "Oh fuck,
Fuck.
this is bonding." What did I
Fucking
do?
hate this kid.
But now to go see a movie, it's got to be something. I mean, especially after the pandemic. I've been to the theater twice since the pandemic. Once I went and I saw the movie Old because it had been out in theaters forever. I knew it would be an empty theater,
Yeah.
so I was like, "Let's go see Old and feel safe." And then I went a week or two ago and saw Titane at the
is that?
it used to be the Sunset 5. It was the movie that won the Palme d'Or. It's like, did you ever see the movie Raw?
Oh, you texted me about this. That's right. The same director did Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like just like a fuck you up movie.
yeah, that movie.
I loved that. kind
Raw
of thing.
was fucking gross. I mean, insane. That was
Yeah.
an insane movie. And then you went to go see Old as what? M. Night Shyamalan's fucking
Yeah.
movie? Yeah? How was that?
I mean, interestingly bad. You know what I mean? That I was kind of like just sitting there like, oh, I'd rather watch that than go see like Shang-Chi, whatever. Like the Marvel movies, I've seen them all.
Yeah.
But it's like, it glazes over me now that like, show me something that really fucks me up.
It's funny that the interestingly bad is like the perfect review for those things where you're like, yeah, I'm engaged, but it's not good.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like I'm here, but I don't think I like this at all. I do that with most shit I watch now. Like if TV series, there's so many of them where I'm like, I don't think I like this, but I'm gonna fucking keep watching.
I don't
guess.
watch anything anymore. Like I got into reality TV during the pandemic because it was like you could just stream. Like I bubbled up with another friend who didn't have anyone. And not that I didn't have friends, but I didn't have like, I'm locked in with my dog, and a friend was just staying with me, and she got me into Big Brother. And
This one or the Brit? Is that the British one?
it was started in Britain and now it's here.
Oh,
Got me into that, and then the show The Challenge, which I love.
what is that?
The Challenge is that MTV show.
Oh,
where it's
shit.
like it's old
Yeah.
reality stars who are now like they're all jacked, they're all hot,
Right.
They all get wasted, and they compete and then fight. And it was the best. And that was the first thing that went into production during COVID. They went to Iceland and just got like the best of the best and put them in there for like for a couple months, and I was obsessed with that.
It's still on. What is it, on Netflix or something?
No, it's on. You have to get like the Paramount app or
sure.
watch it on demand. But I watch that every week.
So you're obsessed with reality TV now, huh?
Just the challenge, and then I watched Big Brother this year, and I'm like, maybe I don't know if I would get into it again.
Yeah.
But it was just something to watch. But there's no, except for like Succession, I'm excited about. But most things, I'm just like, I don't have the time. And after living through the golden age of TV, like right when I moved out here, you know, Sopranos was going on.
Yeah.
You had The Wire.
The Wire, yeah.
You had Deadwood that I got to work on. It was like the thrill of a lifetime.
Right.
And as an accounting clerk, not as like an actor, just like being on the set was amazing to me. After those three, I'm like, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do that blows my hair back after that I just don't care.
In here, we pour whiskey, whiskey.
Hey, you know what's scarier than ghosts and ghouls on Halloween? Shaving your balls and nicking your sack in the shower and bleeding out. That should have been the final scene in The Shining. Jack breaks in and goes, "Here's Jack," and he just sees another dude shaving his nuts. It jumps and makes him cut and bleed out. Scary times, man. You don't want to nick your sack, don't do it. You got to get Manscaped. You know I love Manscaped. There's no reason to cut up your pumpkin when you're carving it. Manscaped's here to upgrade your grooming experience. Go from bite-sized candy bars to a king-size candy bar. Pull back the wrapper. 2 million men are using this. Go to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with that code whiskey20. Manscaped is incredible. Unlock that confidence. They got the Performance Package 4.0. You're going to find the holy grail of men's grooming. I got to tell you, that Lawnmower 4.0, the lawnmower, I have 3 of them at the house, and I love them. One for my face, one for my balls, one for my butt, and the butt also is the Nifkin trimmer. But that Lawnmower 4.0 is incredible. It's got that skin-safe technology. You're never going to nick your nuts, I promise, or your Gucci or Grundle for your Nifkin. They got the Weed Whacker, and also that nose, the Weed Whacker, that's the nose and ear hair trimmer, which I like. And seal the deal with that Manscaped liquid formulation, the Crop Preserver, ball deodorant, the Crop Reviver. I'm telling you, this stuff makes you smell and feel good. There, even in this performance package, they threw in some boxes and the Shed travel bag, which you're going to need. They got so many life-changing products. You got to check it out. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code whiskey20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code whiskey20 at manscaped.com. Say trick or treat to your beautiful new halloweenie with Manscaped.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Did you work with anybody as a clerk that now that you got where you are that were like, dude, I used to work with you?
There was one of my favorite tweets ever. Who's the guy who created the Shield? Sean.
Yeah, no, I see the name. Oh,
he does SWAT now. He did the Shield.
I know.
He was on the Unit. There was I did 3 shows: American Dreams, Deadwood, and then the Unit. And he tweeted, he was like, I just found out Anthony Jeselnik was the accounting clerk on the Unit. Accounting's loss is comedy's gain. I love him. And I wrote him, I was like, this is the best tweet I've ever seen. But otherwise, people don't remember the accounting clerks.
Yeah.
Like when I've had 2 TV shows, and I always go into the accounting department to be like, I used to work in accounting, so I'm gonna I know that you guys don't get a lot of action, but I'm gonna come in and talk to you guys. And they look at me like, what are you talking about?
Leave us the fuck alone.
We're in here for a reason. like get out of here.
You don't talk to me, man. They big time you. They're like, get the fuck out, pal.
Yeah.
Did you go to school for that shit?
I went to Tulane, and I was an English major. I wanted to be a writer. I thought I'd just be literally writing books after that. So I didn't think about entertainment at the time. But my parents said, we're paying for this, so if you're going to get an English major you can't get a job with, get a business minor so you can work. And so I was out here for a while, and my best friend, who I do my podcast with now, he works for the NFL. He was a page at NBC. And he had my resume just on his desk trying to get me a job doing anything. And somebody came by and was like, oh, he was a business minor. We need someone to do accounting for 6 weeks on American Dreams to clean up some mess. And by accounting, I didn't really know that. I couldn't tell you much about accounting, but I could file stuff and tape receipts to pieces of paper.
Sure.
So I went there, and they liked me enough that they kept me on the whole season. And then that boss would bring me to Deadwood, brought me to the Unit. And when the writer's strike happened, the last big one, the Unit got shut down, and I was gone. And then I never went back. I was on the road.
At that point, you didn't need it.
No, but I would be on TV, at night, and then have to come into work the next day. So I was truly miserable having to answer the phone and get yelled at because they hadn't gotten their check yet. When I was like, did you see me on Kimmel last night?
I fucking crushed. You didn't watch me do my set? Anyway, yes, your check will be in the mail very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, was that in New York, 30 Rock? Or when you said NBC Page, that's out here?
Yeah, they have the Page program in both.
I always think about, whenever I hear that, I'm always like, oh yeah, the Page is over at at NBC there. But I guess what? I didn't know they do that out here.
They have one in Burbank and then one at 30 Rock, yeah.
Burbank.
But everyone remembers Kenneth, you know.
Yeah. Well, and also I think it's just a thing that it's such a notable thing about 30 Rock is just NBC pages are just a part of that, the cultural zeitgeist of that running around that building. I mean, when I tested for that show, and even when I went back, it's like page is a part of the culture that I feel like you see. Hollywood here, I feel like there's too many people doing too many things. You're like, what is that? Who do all these fucking people do? And there's no signification. It's not like you look like a type of way. Where there, they usually look, they're wearing
the uniform.
Their uniform.
Yeah.
Out here, I have no fucking idea. Like I'm doing this Netflix movie right now, and honestly, there's so many fucking people that work on the movie. Sometimes people come up to me and say something, and I'm like, maybe that person was important. I have no fucking idea.
No idea.
Like, I'm not gonna call him out, but one of an actor friend of mine was with me at a thing, and the president of FX is standing right next to us. We're talking to someone, and then he comes over, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, Andrew? How are you?" I'm like, "Hey, it's great to see you. How you doing?" He's like, "Very good. Da da da. This is great. Da da da. We were premiering season 2 of Dave, all this stuff, and da da." And the other actor next to me is like, "What's up?" He's like, "Hey," and he goes, "Who the fuck are you?" And I was like, "No, dude." And he goes, "Well, I'm the guy that does the thing. This is my thing. This whole thing." And he was very polite about it. He was very, very cool. He could have been like, "Who the fuck do you think?" But he was like, "No, I'm the guy. This is kind of my whole thing. All this stuff is my thing." And he goes, "Oh shit." And I was like, "Okay, nice to meet you, dude." And when he walked away, I told my buddy, I was like, you don't know who the fuck that is?" He's like, "No, he's wearing fucking street clothes. How the fuck would I know? He's supposed to look more important than me."
I'm like your friend. Like I've said, "Who the fuck are you?" to people, and they've told me, and I'm like, "Oh, wow, okay, now we can talk." But like when you just walk up and assume I know who executives are,
yeah,
like I never know.
No, I don't know. But I usually just play my cards close to my chest, and I'm like, I don't know. That could be the fucking. I can't tell anymore who's super important, who's not. I got into an argument with a guy on set that was about. And then halfway through, I realized, I was like, fuck, what if this guy is fucking some EP at the thing, and he's going to be like, well, you're not working with us anymore. We got in an argument about touring, and he was like, do you feel it's a little irresponsible to be touring right now? And I was like, no. When would be the good time for me to go back out? People are vaccinated, and those that aren't, they make the decision not. That's their fucking right. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to not stop what I want to do just because other people are making their decisions. And he kind of was like, I think it's a little, unethical or whatever. And I'm like, well, there's thousands of us that are doing it. So and people are coming out. So I don't know what you want me to say. And it's the same token where I get sick of people email, my agent and I will talk about it. They'll email like the fan page or like the mailing list and stuff and be like, yo, what the fuck? Why do I have to be fucking vaccinated? It's like, dude, I don't make those rules, bud. Yeah. Call your local senator. That's the state you live in said you have to be to do this thing. In fact, in Boston, which was really weird, I played the Wilbur, and right across the street next door is the Wang Theater, and then across the street is another one. And ours, I don't think was I don't think you had to show a card. The Wang you do, and then the other one, all you had to do was have a negative test if you refused or whatever. So like even in the one block, all the rules were different. But I don't like it that's put on the artist as if like I have anything to fucking do with it. Like I don't make those rules, man. And if you don't want to come out and see the show, don't come see the show. I don't know if you feel unsafe, but I'm gonna go back to work. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in a place of privilege where I don't have to tour. You know what I mean? If I don't need to right now, and I don't have the time. Like I don't have the time in my act that I could take it on the road now. Right. So I'm out of the conversation completely. So I don't judge anyone for doing it. I'm glad, frankly, I don't have to deal with it. But anytime I'm at the Comedy Store or at Largo, like I'm doing Largo this Friday, and they like, you got to show proof of vax and wear a mask the whole time. Yeah. And people get mad, and they're like, I'm boycotting. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not boycotting anything because you're not allowed in. So like, I don't care. Like I'm happy they're doing it. I want people to feel safe while they're there. But if I was on the road, I wouldn't have a problem. I don't know if I'd be doing when people say they're refusing to do shows where they make you vax, I'm like, why? Why do you let people do their thing and just show up and just do your show and perform?
Well, that's what I do. I've paid zero attention to the rules of the venue because I have no control over that. Mm-hmm. And I'm certainly not going to take it away from the fans in that city that want to fucking see me to be like, hey, I don't play there because, the goofy shit that's going on. It's like, no, I'm going to play. I'll do what I can. You do what you can. We'll figure it the fuck out. But I do think it is interesting, to have the card and wear the mask. That's kind of one of those things where I'm like, what if they got to do it? I guess they got to fucking do it. But I have heard people bitch about that where they're like, I'll just keep drinking the whole time and have my mask down. It's like, well, whatever, dude. Fight the good fight.
Like I go to restaurants, I eat indoors, and I do the thing where you sit down at your table, take your mask off, and I feel okay, but I am vaccinated. I think everyone should be. If you're not, I'm not going to fight about it.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't want to fight about politics. And I have my views, but I don't care what yours are.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me. But when people complain about it, it's like, you know what the rules are. Like, if it's that important to you to go to a comedy show, then get the fucking shot and or just leave me alone. Don't bitch about it.
Well, you're a sports guy. What do you think? There's got now it's all gonna Kyrie Irving is not gonna play all season. There was an entire coaching staff, I think, at a college that decided that they're not going to play now. I think it is kind of wild that they're now the refusal. I wonder if that's going to start a revolution of athletes that are like, well, I'm not going to get vaccinated. You can't. I'm not going to play either.
It's too much money on the table. Like Kyrie's his own fucking thing. Kyrie's a goddamn alien.
The flat earther, man.
Flat earther, and the fact that he's saying like he might be vaccinated, but he's doing it because of people who are losing their jobs because they're not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm baffled by medical professionals who refuse it and are losing. Like if you're a nurse and you've seen what's been going on, you wouldn't get it. I think that's insane.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think people are strange about their bodies, and I can see athletes being like, "I know everything I put in my body. I'm not putting this in.
Yeah,
I don't care." But there's too much money on the table, and if it's about your teammates, if your teammates are going to lose you, or you're going to infect people, or you're going to put your team at a disadvantage, I don't understand that.
Yeah,
because in a team sport, you do it for your team. If an entire team is vaccinated together, I think that brings them together. I think they'd have a better shot. But I'd be furious if I joined a super team with Kyrie. I mean, luckily they got Harden and Durant, so they don't really need him.
They're going to be okay.
But I would be certainly annoyed.
I think it is all about the money, though. I'm sure there's guys that are like, I don't want to fucking get it, but they're like, how much? Yeah, fucking.
Like I got guys opting out of the season, last year, for the NFL with like a bunch of Patriots. We're like, we've won so many fucking rings, we've got so much money. Like I'm just going to take the year off and chill. And I got that.
Yeah.
But like as a comic who is doing well enough that I was like, okay, I'm taking a year off. I didn't do any stand up at all, even outdoor shows, until I got vaccinated. Because I was even like I wasn't worried about myself as much as I was kind of worried about like I've been so safe and I'm going to get it from this. Like that would be stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But also I didn't want people getting it coming to see me. Even if the show was outdoors, like they've got to get there somehow. It just felt irresponsible to me. I understood other people doing it, but once I finally got it, I was like, I wouldn't have taken a year off without this, and I think I needed the year off.
Did you write? Well, did you write during that time or no?
I tried it in the beginning,
so hard,
and it was like impossible. If I don't have to get up that night, like doing Largo once a month, I have to have new stuff. Yeah. I've got a 15-minute set that kills that I've been doing on the regular everywhere I go with very little, tweaks.
I've seen you.
But I'm like trying to write new jokes just so I can try them out. I'll try them out this week and premiere them at Largo because I want people who are coming back to see at least something new.
Yeah.
Where I talk about somewhere and trying something else out. But other than that, I feel fine doing the same 15 minutes. Which is kind of a problem. I like getting out of that comfort zone. I wish I had to do 20 where I'm like, I'm bombing with this 5. I've got to fix it. Because when you just do 15 and you kill, you just feel like you walk out feeling fine. And since I don't really feel like I'm going to be touring anytime soon, I'm taking my sweet time with this 5th hour, but I'm okay with that.
Do you ever do that thing when you write a new chunk and you go try it out and it does great and you're like, right on. And then you go do it again and you're like, I don't like any of that fucking stuff. I'm not going to do any of that shit.
All the time.
It's so weird. The feeling of that is strange. I'm going to do a show tonight. And the last time I did it, I tried out a bunch of new stuff and it worked pretty fucking well. And then I tried it again before I left to go to Boston because I was like, maybe I'll just jump in that 10 minutes. Maybe I'll throw it. And it just was mediocre. I was like, it's just so annoying that when you're trying to build. And I think also culturally what's going on right now, there is this, like people are really anxious to get, back out to see comics and clubs and everything, but there's still we're almost there vibe from crowds that's like, the road is different, but I mean locally it's like, yeah, no, we're in, but be careful. Just be careful what you're talking about. There's almost like this looming thing behind it for some reason.
You mean not about just about cancel culture in general?
Just everything. I think people are weary of I think people are so smarter now about what's going on in comedy, what's going on about social and culture. They don't really just escape and then live in this moment with you. They're thinking a lot about the outside world responding to what you're saying.
See, I can see what you saying that. I'm immune.
Yeah, you
Like,
have to
people
be.
know, at this point, people are like expecting me
To say some fucked up shit.
Like, I open with that trans bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish to God I could do a special tomorrow because of Chappelle, like, bringing up all this renewed. It's like, here's how you can do a trans bit without making anyone upset.
Right.
You know, here's how you can do it in a way that's not bowing down to PC culture, but is doing it in like a very smart way that I think like only I could do.
Yeah.
And I wish I could get it out. Like, I thought about like, should I just go on Kimmel and do a 5-minute set just to get this out there? But I don't want to burn it. I want people who see the hour when it's done to get the whole hour.
I get that.
You know?
When you saw Chappelle's stuff about all that, is that annoying when you see that? Because then you're like, well, now anybody after it's going to be like, well, look at the version that he did versus the version that he did, because it is such like a touchy thing now.
No, the only time I felt that way was my first stand-up special was called Caligula for Comedy Central.
Mm-hmm.
And I taped it, and it was at the time rape jokes were the thing. Where it was like everyone was fighting about that I opened with the rape joke.
Yeah.
And I was like, you like that? I got 5 more. And I had 5 more rape jokes throughout the special. And then after I taped it, the Tosh thing happened. And then it was like, well, it's almost hack now to do. It's like you're trying too hard to do a rape joke. That I was glad I kind of got it in under the radar. So it was like, it was still a little edgy at the time, but it wasn't the same way it would have been if that Tosh thing hadn't happened. But I think like my trans joke is almost a response to Chappelle's obsession with it. You know, when I watch the special, I'm like, I'm not offended by this. You've done 5 of these that I would love to hear you talk about anything else. And I know he's got other material. He's like choosing this. And I love Chappelle as he's one of the greatest comics of all time.
Yeah.
But I don't understand the obsession.
I mean, I don't know. For me, it was one of those things where, you know, yeah, I mean, it's just, I didn't love the joke. I didn't love the jokes. So, so I was like, I love him. But it's hard for me to fight back on some of that stuff because I'm like, man, I don't like that joke. It's not that it offended me or that I was upset that it offended another community. It was more like I was like, I just didn't love the jokes. Yeah. I just wish I know he writes better stuff about other stuff. So you're like, there's a fight online. There was a fight online between comics talking about it. And you're like, or we could just say that we don't really love the joke because that seems to be the impetus of the problem.
I read about it and I wanted to just not watch it. But I'm like, people are going to ask, and I don't want to be the guy who's like, I haven't seen it, but from what I've read, because he did a special a couple years ago where he got a lot of hate on the internet and people were writing the jokes. And then I watched the special and I was like, there's a twinkle in his eye. The way he's saying this doesn't translate to the page, that people are overreacting to this one.
Right.
And I forget which one it was. So I was like, I'll watch it for that. And I felt the same way as you, that I'm like, these aren't that good. The crowd's kind of like oohing that like he went there. But he's like, I did my last special and I had a 20-minute abortion story at the end. That I'm very proud of.
That's the succulent.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I'm like, I can never tell an abortion joke again for the rest of my life. Like, I hit it so hard for 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's the one.
That, like, that's done.
Right.
For me. That I can't believe that he doesn't feel that way. And I'm glad at the end where he's like, I'm not going to do this again. I'm going to take a break for a while. And I can't wait to see what he comes back with. Yeah. But and I always want to watch. But I've just been like, you seem angry more than trying to be funny. Like, he has a place of privilege where people are going to love him no matter what.
Totally.
And come out and see him. That he doesn't care about being funny. Like, I want to be able to kill everywhere with my act. Alt clubs and like...
Club clubs.
And clubs.
Yeah.
You know, I'm Largo and the Comedy Store. Like, I know something's really good if it works at Supernova, the Comedy Store, and Largo. Because I'll crush with something at Largo and then take it to the store and they're like, nope. Or I do a thing now where I'll come up with like a story. And I'm like, I got to do this on a talk show. Like, I got to do this, like, sitting down, telling Jimmy Kimmel the story.
Right.
Because it's not me.
Right.
You know, it's funny. And it's like, it would be a good dinner story, but it doesn't work as a stand-up act.
So you'd have to just save it for something else. Or interject it into another thing that you're going to do.
Oh, I burned half an hour of material that I was doing on stage just promoting my last special by telling that story on the couch. And it was like, it's not a conversation. It's just me literally doing stand-up, sitting down. But it made more sense coming from me as a human being than me as the fucking devil piece of shit I am on stage. You know?
I know. When people don't know you, and I know you, it is funny when people think they know who you are because of the character that you portray on stage. But it is very much not you in this weird way. I mean, it's you. Sure. But it's not but it has this and I think that's probably because, you saying that you wanted to be a writer. I think you get to embody this kind of written character that you have, which is like another subset of the comedy writing. Like you get to write the jokes, but you get to write them as this great character that you've created in your mind a little bit. You embody it on stage. But it is interesting that, like, I think people think they know who you are. And that's hard to do as a comic, unless who you are is exactly who you are. Like, Tom Segura is Segura, unmistakably.
Yeah.
So when you meet him,
Bargatze's Nate Bargatze.
that's exactly who he is. You, on the other hand, it's like, sometimes I see when people meet you, sometimes if we're out, and I think it's just, I mean, you feel it so much more than I do, but as a third party, it's wild to watch them think they know who you are and how to act with you. And they're surprised when they don't get what they're looking for whatever that means. You know, it's as if you didn't take your shirt off for a Kreischer. Do you know what I mean? When they're like, "Why's your clothes on?"
Yeah,
it's like they treat you like that sometimes, and I'm like, "Oh, they just think you're exactly this thing on stage."
Yeah, or they think I want to hear that. Like they'll come up and like tell an edgy joke to me, or say something edgy, or like insult me, or insult someone,
right?
As like a roast kind of thing, and I'm just like, that's what I do. Like I've done this so much that I don't want to see someone's dark comedy. Yeah. Because it's like it doesn't do anything for me. Like I've explored it so much on my own that I don't need that. So stop trying.
Stop coming up to me and trying.
Yeah, don't try to make me laugh.
Did you ever write a book since you were going to go to fucking school to write? Did you ever sit down? Never.
I wrote like a novella my senior year as like my thesis for creative writing.
Yeah.
That I thought was great, and then read it later on and was like, I'm throwing this away. So like no one can ever read it.
It's probably good then.
And I've tried to write, like my therapist was like, try to write a novel, during this pandemic. Like try that. And I sat down and I hated the process so much. And I think even people who write novels and actually get them published hate the process so much. But I'm spoiled by comedy.
Yeah.
The idea of writing a joke, and it's almost like a poem. It's this tiny little mechanism that has to work in a perfect way. And getting to go on stage and just do that and then come up with the next one, those are my novels to me. That I really didn't want to get into. I don't care about character, the story beats, the outline. Like I hated that stuff so much that it felt bad, and I didn't feel like pushing through to make it good. Like I'd be embarrassed by anything I put out.
Yeah.
It would feel almost like a vanity project. Putting out a novel that I could get something published. Like I wanted a book deal after my first TV show got canceled. I met with book agents, and I was like, I want to do like a very dark kind of Jack Handy-esque. It's like a hitman, an absurd hitman character who has these like little like vignettes of action. It's basically like a joke, but it's written out and it's very violent. And he was like, Bret Easton Ellis meets Jack Handy. I can sell that tomorrow. I can get you 6 figures. Like give me 20 pages and I'll sell it. And I was like, great. And I got 5 pages in and I was like, cancel that. Like, I don't want to do this. I'm going back to jokes.
Yeah.
I love stand-up, and each special I consider to be, like, I'm very precious with my specials in that hour. I'm like, these are my novels. Put those on a bookshelf. Yeah. And that's going to be it for me. And maybe one day something comes across that I want to do, but I never wanted to do my stand-up book.
Yeah. Everyone does do a stand-up book.
Everyone does it, and then they go away so quickly that I wouldn't want something that would go out of print.
Right.
Well,
it's kind of it's a little bit of a money grab.
Sure.
The stand-up book thing is like, it's like more of me, and that's fine. It's fine for people that love to throw that stuff out there.
When I hear a collection of essays, I'm like, get out of here. Get out of here.
A small collection of essays from your favorite comedian. Although I do think there's value in someone to tell, like, when you have a great story.
Mm-hmm.
Like if your life story is valuable and there's some richness to that, I didn't know anything about Trevor Noah other than who he was until I heard about his life story, and like, it's fucking there's merit in that you're like, tell that fucking story.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Doug Stanhope's books are amazing.
Yeah.
Have you read Daryl Hammond's memoir?
Ugh.
Holy fucking shit.
Wait, Hey God, If You're There, what is it called? Fuck. Hey God, If You're There, oh my God, I want to know so bad.
You're so close.
God,
I couldn't tell you.
It's something like that. It's like, hey God, if you're there, I'm whatever.
in trouble.
Yeah, but that book, I highly do recommend that for anybody. That had some heartbreaking moments about SNL, like that. Just just crippled with depression and anxiety of like leaving before they do that curtain call with the where everyone says goodbye and goodnight, and like sneaking out the back and having panic attacks, during performances. It's like
the story of him going to the inauguration
Oh my God.
is insane. And like, there's he'll have little asides where he's like, I dated this girl for a while. She was beautiful. Ended up hanging herself from a ceiling fan. And that's the end. And he just like, moves on. Where you're like, fuck, Daryl.
Yeah, he had that. I mean, have you ever met him recently? Do you see
I've
him
seen
around?
him. I saw him at Supernova. We used to kind of talk a little bit at the Comedy Cellar, but he was not in the best frame of mind. You know, he was very nice, but
he was a little
medicated.
Yeah, but he would watch sets, which is wild for guys of his generation. Most of those guys would never fucking watch your set. I don't give a fuck how you're Anthony Jeselnik. He's not gonna watch your fucking set. Doesn't matter. But he would watch sets, like all the sets at the Improv, and I was like, he's watching everybody, which is so weird. And then made a good, nice comment to me afterwards, and I was like, oh, that's kind of wild to see that generation still actively involved, because most of those guys don't do that.
I love when they introduce you, like at Supernova, where they have to like Damon Wayans has to introduce me and has to say something nice, and when he's like, he's one of the best stand-ups working today, I'm just like, that like hits me right in my heart, because I'm like, I grew up like obsessed with you on In Living Color. It's so cool that those guys. When I met Dana Carvey, and he came up to me and was like, my kids are comics and you're their favorite comic, and I was like, fucking Dana Carvey knows who I am and is like a fan. Like that it blows my mind every time.
That's awesome.
Those guys you grew up watching.
Yeah, is it upsetting when a legend doesn't know who you are that you're a big fan of when you meet them and you're like, oh, I thought you might know who I am?
No, it's upsetting when they're kind of like I'm kind of have a rule to like not meet your idols. Like I've met people that I've been very like obsessed with, and like you get some fame, and it's like they're just not who you want them to be, and it's not even their fault. It's just like they're on a different level than you in terms of like age and experience.
Sure.
They're in a different. They were where you were once, and it's just not a pleasant experience. That I'd rather just, unless they want to come meet me, then great. Or they have a podcast. Because if they have a podcast, they have to research you and be nice to you and ask you questions, and that is great. Being on Bret Easton Ellis' podcast was amazing.
Yeah.
And having a beer with Bret Easton Ellis was not that great.
What, really?
Because it was just like I don't know what I expected. Like he wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't a bad dude. But it wasn't like I was like, I've been reading your books my whole life. You're my favorite author.
Yeah.
And he was just like, so you don't have a job for me. Okay. I'm just gonna pontificate on whatever. But doing his podcast was great.
It was fascinating.
Yeah.
This is not me talking shit, but it is weird. Not that he's a hero. He was not a hero of mine. But it often happens where I know someone or I know who they are, and then I meet him and hang out with them through some other fucking person that's famous that I might know. And I'm like shocked at how they're so far from what I thought they would be. Like, you know, we were on the road and we met, oh my God, from Tool, Maynard Keenan. Yeah, yes. And I'm in my mind, he's a totally different guy. And then when I meet him, he owns this winery in Scottsdale and hosted us and was really sweet and nice and knew fucking everything about wine that you've ever heard of in your entire life. Down to the point where you're like, are you saying this for you to hear or for me to know? Like, it was so strange. It was like almost like an obsession. And it wasn't bad. It was just so not what I thought he was going to be, which is shame on me for even projecting what it might be. But it was kind of a bummer in a weird way. Because like he was fucking shit-faced, just like convulsing about wine. And I was like, I didn't want this to be the thing that we talk about at all.
Yeah.
Like I don't give a fuck about wine.
Yeah, but it's not their fault. It's like your expectations that you bring to the table by worshiping this person is never going to be like exactly what you want.
Well, have you met someone that's been kind of what you wanted it to be? You're like, that's kind of that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh Ohm from the Queens of the Stone Age.
Was
we
exactly.
kind of became friends, and it was like exactly what you wanted. Like drove the car you wanted to drive. Like drank as much as you wanted to drink. Like just had a great time, great stories. Just really really fun.
Have you opened for that band before?
I tried to. I was supposed to open for them at. And I forget. We became friends because I went to a show. I did some benefit downtown at a bar that he like owns. I didn't even know he owned it. I just showed up. And he was like, hey, what's up? I'm a big fan. I was like, holy shit. And we start talking. And then they came to the Comedy Store, like as a band. And they said, I tell the story on Kimmel where they're like, oh yeah, we're almost done with our tour. We're going to do Europe. And then we're doing San Quentin prison. We want to do like a Johnny Cash, tape an album at San Quentin. I was like, do you need an opener? And he was like, that'd be awesome. We'll put you on the album. Like you'll be on the album cover with us. Like the album will open with your set and then us. And I was so happy. And it was like months later we're doing it. And I guess I didn't know this, but San Quentin kept calling my manager, whoever was setting it up, and being like, "What's the set list?" He can't say and I get the rules, and I'm like, I can't follow any of these. Like every joke I have breaks every rule that's here, and the band can do whatever they want, but that's not the same for me. And they I get there, and they're like the guards are aggressive, and they're doing everything to keep me off stage, and I'm pissed because I'm like, I wouldn't have gotten on the plane. I would have been fine not doing this.
Sure.
But getting here now, I'm mad. So I'm like, let me introduce the band at least, and they go, okay. And then I went up and did as much time as I could before they cut my mic, which was like 90 seconds.
Did the prisoners love it?
Prisoners loved it.
Yeah.
Of course they loved it. Like they're in jail for fucking murder. They're not mad that you swore. They're not mad that you talk about.
So what's the reasoning for you? Because they think that might be inciting something out of
Yes.
the... Yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
Yes.
That they're like, you start using that kind of language and talking that freely, these guys are going to think they're... Because that is part of just to play devil's advocate, the part of stand-up that is hard to articulate to people is that there is this feeling where they are kind of one with you, and you are kind of this, we're together. You're like, I'm speaking to us, for us, it's us. And they do kind of feel a part of a unit, which is why I think fans are always like, they want to see you and meet you and be with you and know you because they're like, we just fucking did that together. You're like,
Yeah.
I just did it. And they're like, no, dude, I fucking was there. I was there.
Yeah, we have the same sense of humor. Like
Right.
I thought this was so funny, and they're going to repeat it. Like I
Totally.
wasn't mad they didn't want me to perform. I got that.
Yeah.
I was mad they let me get there before they told me.
Right.
You know, that was what upset me.
Or or the band knew and they were like, fuck it, we'll just figure it out because bands don't give a
the
shit.
band was like scared of like what I was going to do. They were like, I don't know. Like I almost did. I toured with Chris Rock on his last big tour, his the international part of it, and we were going to go to Dubai, and my agent called me. He's like, "We're worried about you," and I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, they have like the rules are crazy. Like we don't want you going to jail.
Oh
in
yeah, you can go
Dubai
to
for
prison.
shit you can say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what? Tell me the jokes I can't say. You know, and I won't do those. I'm only doing fucking 15 minutes opening for Chris Rock. And they're like, that's not the case. It's not that. It's like Chris can say whatever he wants. He's Chris Rock. You cannot. And Chris ended up canceling Dubai anyway. So I was like, okay. But I realized like there are different rules for different people, you know?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's why like, go try to fucking smoke at the Cellar when you get to New York. It's like, yeah, Chappelle is going to do it. But if you do it, they'll let you do it. And then afterwards,
Oh, you'll never be
they'll
that.
come up to you and be like, hey man, the fuck are you out of your fucking mind?
But I know venues that won't have Chappelle because of smoking.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen him smoke at the store. I saw him at the OR smoke one time, but he usually doesn't smoke when he's there. Do you think that's conscious that he does that? Because he's like, I don't...
It might be like in the belly room because he likes the belly room. I could see
does.
it being like, this is too much. You know what I mean? It's too much in the belly
It's a
room.
fucking shoebox.
This is a crazy fire hazard. Maybe not there. And he did a special in there. Maybe he smokes during that.
I don't remember.
But I'm not like, oh, Chappelle's smoking now. I've never been around him enough to be like, oh, he's smoking. But I remember like, I had friends who run Meltdown. Remember Meltdown, that
yeah.
old show?
Yeah.
We dropped in and he's smoking, and when someone comes up and is like, you can't smoke in here. And he goes, are you serious? Like, no one's ever told him no.
Right.
You know, like Chevy Chase. There was like a summer camp I went to where Chevy Chase had a kid who went to the camp, and there was no smoking anywhere because it's like it could all go up. And Chevy shows up and he's just chain smoking and throwing them around, and no one's going to say anything. But then the other people at the show were like, no, you can smoke. It's okay. It's okay, Dave.
Well, you're not going to say no to him. Like, I remember when Dave first came back, you know, from like his hiatus, and he was doing clubs, like really secretly, he was bouncing around. There was a video that got up on YouTube. He was at the Comedy Store in London. You know, I think they have one there. It has
Has nothing to do with the
no
Comedy Store here,
affiliation. Yeah, but it is called the Comedy Store. I think that's where it was. But I do remember it's packed. I mean, it's fucking like sardines in there, and you just see the tops of people's heads, and they're standing, and he's smoking, and the ceiling's really low, and from the back, someone's like, "You can't smoke in here," and he goes, "What?" And he goes, "You can't smoke in here, mate," and he goes, "You can't smoke in here, mate." Everybody fucking lost it, but of course nobody stopped him, and I was like, "That's Dave Chappelle." Like he of course he's allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Who's gonna stop?
I might also think it's an asshole move.
Yeah.
Like, I would feel terrible. I would feel
Yeah,
so terrible.
I would feel fucking awful.
I love being a fucking asshole, but I would just be like, everyone's got to smell this. Like,
But do you love being an asshole, or is it that you love playing the asshole because who you really are isn't an asshole at all?
if I think of something, like I did this at Supernova where I buried a girl. I was, this girl went right in front of me, did an 8-minute set, and did not get a single laugh. like just died.
Whitney was there that night. I didn't know.
She was just bombing. So, and like you couldn't tell where the joke was. Like the audience wanted to laugh and was like waiting for it. And I thought of something funny to say. And then I was like, that's too mean. But then as I take a step on stage, I'm like, fuck it. And I go, give it up for 8 minutes of silence, everybody. And they went crazy. Where like afterwards, I was like, is she okay? Like, is she all right that I said that? And she came up later and she was like, that was really funny. It hurt, but it was funny. Like, I get it. That like, that's when I'm like, this is an asshole move, but it's so funny.
Do you go up to her afterwards and go, hey,
Oh, fuck no. But if she comes up to me, like, she was like, that hurt, but it was really funny. And I'm like, you were great. And she walked away and I was like, why did I say that?
Why did you fail?
Like, why did I? But I'm not going to be like, you were so bad I had to. It's like, I got to call it out. Like, I've been yelled at by people, not yelled at, but people have been upset at that show, Supernova, because they bring you up. Or like at the Comedy Store. I make fun of everyone when I follow them.
Yeah.
I don't make fun of anyone in their intro because I don't want to cut your legs out before you get on stage.
Right.
You know, but I'll make fun of you as soon as I get on stage because your time is done. I did it to Rogan. I did it to Leah. I do it to Sebastian every time. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. It's like, this is my time now. And I'm going to take something that you said and have my take on it.
Sure.
And I think that's always fair game. Even if people get mad, I'm like, why are you mad? If they didn't laugh, like if the audience does not laugh, which has happened on occasion, then you can get mad. You know, then it's like me just being an asshole. But if it's funny, it's my job to be funny, and I'm going to use what you just did.
You also do it with a little bit of, you know, like you said earlier on about having a twinkle in his eye when Dave said something, and you're like, that's the context version of comedy where you're like, you know what he fucking meant. This wasn't this brutal assault on you as a person or your community. This is a fucking joke. He's joking. In that same regard, you kind of do the same thing where you're in on the joke and you're with us and you kind of give like a little nod to the audience when you have punchlines that are really like hard hitting, that they know that you know that you're like, come on, you know, it's like re-reminding them through your face that you're like, you know, we're fucking around. Like, you clearly know we're fucking around.
And I'm not going on a rant. You know, people rarely get in trouble for one tweet. It's the tweet storm.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like when you keep on going and you start fighting with people, that's when it becomes a problem.
True.
And listen, I've gotten in trouble for one tweet before, a couple times. But it's like, it's the people who really
I hate Jews? Which one was it?
No, that was fine.
That went over well, huh?
I had a Boston Marathon thing that was a big one.
What was it?
It was the day of the Boston Marathon bombing. And again, in my defense, I had a TV show at the time that was talking about the things you like weren't supposed to talk about.
That was the name of the fucking show.
Yes. And I think this will be great. I'll tweet this joke and then I'll have to defend it like on the show. And the joke was, and I'm very careful about how I do these things. Like the word choice is very important to me. That I don't say Boston, I don't say marathon, I don't say bombing. I just said, there's guys today, there are just some lines that should not be crossed, especially the finish line. And I think like this made my staff laugh, and you can't like, it didn't have triggers in it, you know. But because it was me, it set off this. I got this huge backlash, and I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm like, these people are going to watch the show, our season finale, and then the network was like, take this down right now, and do not mention it on the show at all.
Comedy Central? Oh my God.
Yeah, do not say a word about this at all.
What is it though? What's the thing that you've learned about how being kind of that evil, twisted guy? It's like, what is it that you know you're going to get away with it then? And why did you know that was going to fuck you up a little bit?
I didn't know it was going to fuck me up. I thought like people are going to be like, this is kind of like the day Kobe Bryant died. All right. Anyone who tried to fuck with that got buried hard. And
Ari Shaffir.
Yeah.
Is fucking like.
But he went head on. He went right at it.
Which do you respect as somebody who likes those kind of fucking dark, twisted, fucked up jokes?
It's not that you did it, it's how you do it. I mean, art is getting away with it. You know, and he just like went at, and he was just trolling. And I don't really respect trolling.
Yeah, he was.
But I like later on that day, and I was devastated that day. And then I see a tweet that's like announcing Comedy Central has announced they're going to start airing reruns of James Corden in the mornings. And I just quote tweeted that and was like, just when you thought this day couldn't get any worse. And it was like, that's what I do. You know, I get away with it. And I thought with the Boston thing, it was like one person at Comedy Central that was like, take this down. And it was someone that I didn't have a relationship with.
Yeah.
That I'm like, why am I having to listen to this person now? When the people I have relationships with, the higher ups, were like, you got away with it. In terms of like, because I didn't say Boston. I didn't say bombing. I wasn't like, oh, somebody really bombed at the marathon, like which I saw a million of those. It wasn't that. It was like a very clever way to kind of like, you're not triggering someone, but you're like playing that chord.
Sure.
You know, just a little bit. But the trick is to get away with it. I don't want to be a troll. I want to be like so good that you're like, you made me laugh on this horrible day.
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
I've been successful other times, but I didn't have a TV show, you know, at the time.
Are you going to make a new TV show or no? You ever going to do that
I would
shit
love
again?
to. I would love to bring Good Talk back, but I think it's dead. We tried, and people just thought it was a talk show. And to get a talk show hosted by a white guy is impossible. And I was like, it's not a talk show. It's like kind of making fun of them.
Right.
And we had the whole season written. I was 2 weeks from production when everything got shut down. That I had the guests booked. I had the episodes written that I could do it tomorrow if everything came together. But trying to resell it after Comedy Central went down the tubes was impossible.
Are they still? What does that even mean, though? Are they still alive? They're still doing stuff, no?
They're a production company now. They have the Daily Show, South Park, and Nora from Queens or whatever the fuck. But that's not coming back after this season.
I don't know what that is.
It's that Aquafina show.
Oh, I know her. Yeah.
But they're not. No one's pitching to Comedy Central. It's like maybe they'll produce things, but they're rerunning The Office 24/7.
Isn't that crazy to think? I remember being obsessed with Comedy Central. My whole childhood was like, there was nothing cooler. Like I remember how excited when Swartzen did his half hour, that first half hour that was just raucous. I mean, it was like the funniest thing I'd ever seen. I remember being like, getting on Comedy Central is like becoming a king.
Mm-hmm.
You become cemented in history as the coolest thing of all
it was
time.
everything. I mean, it was like getting on Premium Blend would change my life.
Oh
and
my
it's like, no, I got to get the half hour. Like, no, getting a special, getting a TV show on there. We're like musicians talking about MTV.
Yeah.
You know, it's like things changed where stand-up changed. And I guess kids now maybe are like, I got to get on Netflix, you know, if I'm on.
Yeah.
Or maybe now I see YouTube specials that seem to do well.
Yeah, Sam Morril. I had him over here. He's a homie. I mean, he had his special had millions of views on it online, which arguably that's more there than he would have gotten on another platform.
Oh, for sure.
You know, on Amazon or whatever. I don't even know. I just think that's the new wave is cool. I'm not against it. I'm just saying it's wild to think how far that thing fell because for us it was the pinnacle. And I don't know if that happens often in other performance art where you're like, this thing is undeniably the biggest thing that made superstars out of comedians. I mean, fucking even Dane Cook. I mean, they credit him with, you know, MySpace or whatever and all that stuff, but like his shit on Comedy Central was also why he got so visibly known.
Oh, that half hour, Mitch Hedberg's half hour, Zach Galifianakis'
100%.
half hour.
Yeah,
like,
that one.
Like those things, but that's back when they only had 20 of them and they'd run them all the time.
Yeah.
By the time I got a half hour, they ran it like once or twice at midnight and you never saw it again.
Mine ran at 11:45.
Yeah.
I remember.
So it didn't mean that much anymore. And like specials, now everyone's got one.
Yeah.
But like, and again, I'm old enough, I don't really watch YouTube. So it seems like, oh, you're throwing it away. But then it's like, no, people are doing very well. Like I yelled at someone at Comedy Central right before they like really shut down. And I was like, my friend did a special for you and you buried it on the app. Why would you not air this special?
Yeah.
It's legitimately great. And this woman says, she was the head of Comedy Central. She goes, you know, in my defense, way more people saw it online than would have ever seen it if we aired it on the network. Because they would air, like they had aired Bo Burnham's special at midnight on a Sunday or at midnight on a Saturday. And you're like, why would you?
No one sees that.
Why would you do this?
I think at some point they realized they were just counting the losses because it was just too hard to stay afloat. I mean, I think it was just they couldn't compete. I remember when we were pitching. I pitched stuff for that CC Digital that they started years ago, and I was like, this could be the new platform for them because they were trying to keep up with what was coming, and it just wasn't. And it was just, and you know, I don't want to mention names of guys because you know all the people that were there, but it was just a bummer because I was like watching my friends who got jobs have the job slip away because, but it was so good at one point. You were like, this is Wolf of Wall Street. You know what I mean? It's like they were the best. They were the biggest everything. They had all the coolest people wanted to go there.
But it's showbiz. I mean, when people get mad, I'm like, this is show business. It's not fair.
No, it's so fucked up.
It's not reasonable.
Yeah.
Like things change and you just hope you get the wave. Do you know what I mean? Like Bill Burr like started the Netflix wave. He was the first guy in at Netflix. People were like, Bill Burr's doing specials at Netflix. Why not Comedy Central? Why not HBO? And it was like, you don't understand, you know?
Yeah.
And what I guarantee Bill Burr, whatever Bill Burr does next will be the next big thing.
We'll just follow Bill Burr.
I'd be happy to do that.
Fucking too. All right, you're not on the road. I appreciate you coming over here and doing this. I'm sure you got shows tonight.
No, I take Mondays and Tuesdays off.
Oh, you do?
I do my podcast. I was doing my podcast Tuesday nights. Monday night was usually like a non-comedy night. And now with the NFL coming back, my podcast partner, asked to do it Monday night. So
Does he work for the network? Is that what you said? For
Yeah,
NFL
he's an
Network?
analyst for the NFL. Greg Rosenthal.
I know the name. I've seen, and I know the podcast, and also listen to Anthony's podcast with Gregory Rosenthal. I actually didn't know his name was Greg.
Yeah.
Rosenthal, because I just see Rosenthal.
Yeah, the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project, JRVP. Just if you like the Jeselnik offensive, it's like basically that in podcast form.
Yeah.
But just the line is like, what's going to get Greg fired? Like, we don't get to do video because we're worried that it would get him into trouble.
I think about that too. People are always like, because like me and Bobby on our show, and sometimes even on this show, if I'm with a guest that gets too fucking wild and wacky, and we say stupid shit, people are like, what if FX sees that and gets mad? And I'm like, well, but what? But what? At some point, you're like, what? Unless I'm being so blatant out of line,
Yes.
where it's like absurd and like rude and crap and and even myself, I would be like, why did I say that? That's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense. That's not who I am. I wouldn't yell all these. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that fear has died down for most people. You're like, well, what am I gonna say? I'm a comic, but he's got the NFL Network being like, hey man,
Like the podcast started at the NFL where he kind of snuck me into the building, and we did it, and it was called RJVP, the Rosenthal and Jeselnik Vanity Project. And every week they would go to him and be like, "Hey man, like this could be a problem. Like if somebody high enough sees this, you're in trouble." You know, because I was really towing the line, going over the line there.
Yeah.
Like making up stories about Roger Goodell. You know, like just crazy shit, and talking about the things.
Or were they made up?
Like people thought they were true. I'd be like, I was riding up here in the elevator with Roger Goodell, and he was like, "Anthony, your new abortion bit is the funniest thing I've ever seen," and people like took it seriously. But he was like always kind of like we did our 16 episodes, and they were like, "Get out of here, like go," and then we brought it back years later.
What did John Gruden call Roger Goodell, an anti-football pussy? Is that what it was? That's maybe the funniest line I've ever.
Those emails when you
So
read
funny.
all the lines, all the insults together, it was. I think he was trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And some of them were legit hilarious
Yeah,
in
very
terms of
funny.
just like. In terms of just going over the line.
But he used those old boy slangs where you're like, when he said rubber lipping or whatever, or tire. What is
He said the guy's his lips are as big as Michelin tires or something. When he's
Because-
like,
yeah.
I call people rubber lips. And he's
Right.
like, no, you don't. No, you do
No,
not.
it's not the 40s.
Yeah, no one
How do
says
you over there,
that.
rubber lipping? No.
Yeah.
You know that wasn't true, but it was a funny defense, and it did make me laugh. He's like, guys, we all say that. It's like, for
Yeah.
sure. That was it was like a good try to get out. But I also think in his defense, for sure, even though because I laugh at all the stuff that he said, because it's insane. Don't send shit from a corporate email. Come on, bud, what are you doing?
He wasn't. I think it was his personal, but it was to a corporate. One of the chains.
I mean, that's
the
what
guy
I mean.
from
It was to a
Washington.
corporate email.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to know. You can't, can't be like at NFL.com.
I never, as a comic, I'm like, publish my emails. You know,
Yeah.
like I've talked wild shit. Like I'm on text change with comics.
Yeah, we
where
all-
they'll be
yeah.
like, should we delete these? And I'm like, who cares if they find out we're making fun of X?
That we're being mean.
Yeah. Like, are they going to get mad? Like, are we going to lose jobs?
Right.
Like, I don't sweat it.
No, but also open up all the, hey, NFL, open up all the owners' emails. I'd love to see all those.
I couldn't believe the one person they got was Gruden. Like, that's insane to me.
Well,
And
you know why.
I think he had to go.
Well, you know why. Anytime it's somebody like that that's so specific, where like the scope is pointed at one target, it's because somebody that he used to work with is like, fuck this guy. I'm fucking clipping this guy.
Yeah.
It's such a coordinated effort that you're like, this isn't an accident.
But if they had been like, we found these emails, they got leaked, like this is the thing. But like the NFL leaked them.
Yes.
The NFL was like, we looked through hundreds of thousands of emails and John Gruden's fired.
100%.
He's got to be like, an investigation into Washington? I get got.
Yeah, but that's also, and it all points back to politics too. They're always trying to shark someone that they have an issue with, and if you're caught in the crossfire, in his case he was, you're out. It's fucking over.
Oh, the way that works, like is how if someone gets canceled, quote unquote, on the right, on the political right,
Sure.
someone gets canceled on the left. You know what I mean? Like there's the only reason that who's the senator?
I know, Al Franken.
Al Franken got because someone on the right had, I forget who it was,
100%.
where they were going for someone, they're like, we got to get one of yours now. Or like, when Roseanne got taken down.
Yeah.
And they're like, we've got to find someone to get on the left. It's like, really, it's got to be even like that? It can't just be an individual thing?
No, they have to. That's eye for an eye shit. Franken was probably in response to what was the guy's name? The guy that was on trial for that incident in college. Why can't he cried? I drink many beers. What the fuck was that guy's name?
Oh, the fucking Supreme Court justice.
yeah,
now.
that was on the exact same timeline that Al Franken got clipped. It was like
And they were
because
going after Trump for the same things.
100%, dude. That was
if
like
we get him to resign, maybe Trump will have to feel pressure. And they're like,
totally. That's how many that's just like, it is truly, it's like chess. It is political chess. They're like, you get a pawn, then we get a pawn. But it's all to protect this other thing, which is Pizzagate, pedophiles, Epstein's Island. Which I'm not going to say whether or not you've been there, but you have shown me text messages of how pretty the water is.
He's a great friend. A dear friend. I miss him every day.
You guys go see this man live here in Los Angeles if you live here. If you don't, he's going to be on the road maybe sometime down the road in the future. Who the fuck knows? When it's ready, it'll be ready, okay? You can't eat the cake yet, but go listen to the podcast to keep up with this gentleman because he's the best. I appreciate you doing this. I'll see you this week at the show because I'm sure we're doing one together at least. Look in that camera right there and say one word or one phrase to end this show. One word or one phrase.
You will probably not see me on a podcast again for at least 2 years.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.